A knock at midnight. The night was quiet. Outside, the wind touched the trees gently, and the stars watched from above. Inside his small home on the edge of the colony, Jake was making tea. He lived alone, far from the busy city, where no one disturbed him and no one cared to visit. He was just about to turn off the lights when it happened. Knock, knock. A slow, soft knock on his door. Jake froze. No one came here. Not at this hour. Not ever. He waited, hoping it was a mistake. Knock, knock. Again. Gentle, but clear. Someone was really there. Jake walked to the door slowly. His heartbeat rose, his hand hesitating near the knob. With a deep breath, he opened it, just a little. His eyes widened. Standing in the cold night was a tall, strange woman. Her skin glowed faintly under the moonlight. Pale blue, smooth, almost like glass. Her long silver hair flowed behind her shoulders, and her eyes were like deep pools of light, shifting shades of violet and blue. But that wasn't what shocked him. Two small children stood beside her, holding her hands tightly. They looked like her, glowing skin, strange eyes, but they were smaller, thinner, and shaking from the cold. "Please," the woman whispered, her voice soft and heavy, "let us in. We have no place else to go." Jake didn't move. He had seen aliens before. The galaxy was full of them, but none had ever come to his door like this. "Who are you?" he asked carefully. "My name is Nara," she said, eyes begging. "These are my children. We mean no harm, but they need warmth, food, safety." Jake looked at the kids again. Their clothes were torn. Their feet were bare. One of them, a little girl, clung to her mother's leg and shivered. He opened the door wider. "Come in." Nara nodded once. They stepped inside quietly, almost like ghosts. The warmth of the room hit them immediately. The kids looked around, eyes wide at the lights, the shelves, and the little heater by the wall. "Sit," Jake said, pointing to the couch. He grabbed a blanket and wrapped it around the children. Nara sat beside them. She didn't speak much, only watched her children as they slowly stopped shaking. Jake went to the kitchen and poured warm tea into 3 small cups. He brought them over and placed them on the table. "Thank you," she said, bowing her head. "Are you running from something?" Jake asked, sitting across from her. She looked at him for a long moment. Then, very softly, she said, "Yes." "What happened?" "My people. They do not accept what we are. My children are not fully like them. Their father was human." Jake blinked. "They were born from love," she continued. "But to my people, they are wrong. Cursed. I ran to keep them alive." Jake didn't know what to say. He had heard stories. Alien cultures could be strict, cruel even, especially to hybrids. "Why me?" he asked finally. "Why come here?" Nara reached into a small pouch and pulled out a small device. She pressed a button, and a soft light blinked. "I followed this," she said. It was his last message. "Your name was there." He said, "If anything happens to me, find Jake. He's good. He'll help you." Jake's chest tightened. He had served in the war years ago, met many soldiers, helped many, but he didn't remember her partner's name. Still, something in her eyes, her voice, made him believe. The children were falling asleep now, their heads resting on each other. Nara stood and gently laid them down on the couch, pulling the blanket over their small forms. Jake watched her closely. She moved like someone used to danger, used to pain. Her hands trembled only when she thought no one was looking. "You can stay tonight," Jake said, "just for the night." She looked at him, silent for a moment. Then she nodded. "Thank you." As Jake turned off the lights and walked to his room, he glanced back once more. Nara was sitting on the floor beside her children, eyes closed, her hand on their heads. They looked peaceful now, but Jake couldn't sleep. Not because of fear. No, it was something else. Something had changed the moment he opened that door. And deep inside, he knew this was not just a one-night visit. This was the beginning of something far greater, something he was not ready for. But it had already begun. The alien mother's secret. The morning sun rose slowly over the edge of the distant hills, casting soft orange light through the dusty window. Birds outside chirped quietly, but inside Jake's house, silence rested like a heavy blanket. Jake hadn't slept much. He sat on the edge of his bed, staring at the wall, thinking about the woman and the children now in his living room. He got up, walked quietly through the hallway, and found them still asleep. The two kids were curled up on the couch under the blanket. Nara sat on the floor beside them, her back against the wall, eyes closed. But she wasn't asleep. She opened her eyes when she heard his steps. "Did you rest?" she asked softly. Jake nodded, though it wasn't true. "A little." "You?" She looked at the kids and gave a small smile. "Enough." He walked into the kitchen and started boiling water. He didn't know what to say. How do you talk to someone who arrives at your door in the middle of the night claiming her children need a human father? When the tea was ready, he poured 2 cups and placed one in front of her. Nara took it with both hands. "Thank you again," she whispered. "You said their father was human?" Jake asked, finally breaking the silence. She didn't look up. She nodded. "Who was he?" She held the cup tightly. "His name was Commander Ellis. You might have known him. He said you saved his life once." Jake's heart paused. Ellis. He remembered the name. Remembered the mission. The ambush on planet Crash 5. He had pulled a wounded soldier out of a burning wreck. They didn't talk much, just enough for a nod and a thank you. "I didn't know he had a family," Jake said. "He didn't either," Nara whispered. "I didn't get the chance to tell him. He died before he could return to us." She paused, her eyes full of pain, but no tears. "I was already pregnant when he left. When I gave birth, my people looked at the children with fear. They called them impure. They said they should not exist." Jake looked at the sleeping kids. One had silver blue hair, the other had dark curls like a human, but their eyes, those glowing, deep eyes, were just like Nara's. "So you ran." "I had no choice. If I stayed, they would have taken them from me. Killed them, maybe. I hid in the outer systems. Kept moving. But they kept searching. My people are powerful, Jake, and proud. They never forget what they see as betrayal." "Falling in love with a human?" he asked. She nodded. "And worse, carrying his children." There was a long silence. Then Jake said quietly, "Why me?" Nara finally looked him in the eyes. "Because I can't keep running forever. They deserve a home, a life, and I can't give them that alone." Jake felt the weight of her words press into him. "I don't know if I can be what they need." "You already are," she said. They slept peacefully for the first time in weeks. He didn't respond. Just then, the little girl woke up, rubbing her eyes. She sat up and looked around. When she saw Jake, her face lit up. She stood, walked over to him slowly, then hugged his leg. Jake froze. The boy woke up too, yawning, and followed his sister. He stood beside Jake, holding onto his other leg. Nara watched with soft eyes. They sense kindness. They remember feelings, not faces. "What's her name?" Jake asked. "Sila." "And him?" "Kai." Jake bent down. "Hello, Sila." "Hello, Kai." Both children smiled. They didn't speak, but their eyes were filled with trust. "They haven't learned much human language," Nara explained. "I didn't stay in one place long enough for them to learn. I can teach them," Jake said, the words coming from somewhere deep inside him. Nara looked surprised. "You will?" "They're already here," Jake shrugged. "Can't let them grow up without knowing how to say breakfast." A small laugh escaped Nara's lips. It was the first time he had seen her laugh. Later that day, Jake showed the children how to eat cereal with milk. They made faces at it, and Sila tried drinking straight from the bowl. Kai chewed on the spoon like it was food. Jake laughed for the first time in months. Nara watched from the corner, her hands resting on her lap, eyes full of something between hope and fear. When Jake cleaned the table, she finally said, "You don't have to take responsibility. You've already done more than anyone else." He turned to her and said gently, "They're just kids. They didn't ask for this. Someone has to care." "You're not afraid?" she asked. "Terrified," he said honestly. "But I'm more afraid of what happens if no one helps them." She stood silently, then stepped forward. She placed a hand on his arm. "You're not like other humans," she whispered. "I'm not sure that's a good thing," he smiled. "To us," she said, "it is." The sky darkened outside again. But this time, the home didn't feel cold. It felt like something was growing. Not just safety, but family. And though Jake didn't say it aloud, he knew something deep inside his life had already changed forever. Hunters in the dark. Night had fallen again. But this time, the silence felt different. It was too still, too perfect, like something was holding its breath. Jake sat by the window, staring into the woods that surrounded his small home. The stars blinked above, but he didn't notice them. His eyes were on the shadows between the trees. He had locked the doors, checked the windows, twice. The children were asleep in the back room, curled up under soft blankets. Nara sat on the floor near the fireplace, her arms wrapped around herself, her face tense. Jake had seen fear before, during war, during chaos. But the fear on Nara's face tonight was colder, older. "What is it?" Jake finally asked. "They're close," she whispered. "How do you know?" "I can feel them," she said. "They don't move like animals. They don't breathe like people. But I know the feeling. I've run from it many times." Jake stood, walked to the closet, and pulled out the rifle he hadn't touched in years. "What are they?" "Hunters," Nara said. "Not just soldiers, not just beasts. They are trained to find people like me. Hybrids, outcasts. They don't stop until they finish their task. And they don't show mercy." Jake checked the rifle. Loaded. He felt his hands shake for a moment, but he forced them still. "How many?" "I don't know. Maybe 2, maybe more." Jake looked outside again. The woods seemed quiet. Until a soft sound, like footsteps, slow, calculated. Then a flicker, 2 red eyes glowing briefly in the dark. "They're here," Jake said. Nara stood, her face pale. She moved quickly to the kids' room, gently waking them. "Stay quiet," she whispered. "No sound. Stay under the bed until I come." Sila and Kai nodded, fear in their wide eyes. They obeyed without question. Nara turned to Jake. "They'll try to scare you first. Confuse you. Don't listen to their voices. They talk. Not like us. They speak in your mind. They twist your thoughts." Jake took a deep breath. Great. Mind-reading murderers. Then the first knock came. Soft, slow, almost like the night before. But this one wasn't asking for help. Knock. 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 Jake raised the rifle and stepped to the door. "Don't open it," Nara said quickly. He didn't. "Leave," Jake shouted. "This is human territory." A deep, gravel-like voice answered, not from the other side of the door, but from inside his head. "You shelter traders. Give them up, and you will be spared." Jake flinched. "Get out of my head," he growled. "You are nothing. Just a soft-skinned animal. You protect filth. You will die like them." "Jake," Nara shouted. "Focus. Don't listen." He blinked. The voice faded for a second. Then the wall beside the door cracked, sharp claws breaking through the wood. Jake didn't wait. He turned, aimed, and fired. The blast lit up the room. A loud screech echoed outside. Something fell back into the dirt, groaning. "Go check the back," Jake yelled. Nara ran to guard the rear window. Jake watched the front. The creature stood up from the ground. It was tall, armored with black skin like metal, its mouth full of sharp silver teeth, long arms, clawed fingers, eyes glowing like hot coals. "Dan," Jake whispered. It charged. He fired again. The shot slowed it, made it scream, but didn't stop it. It leaped onto the roof. Nara screamed from the back. "There's another one." Jake ran to her. "Take the kids and hide in the basement. Now." She grabbed the children, still hidden under the bed, and pulled open the hidden trapdoor. Jake turned just in time to see the front window explode inward. The hunter burst through, rolling across the floor. Jake fired, once, twice, until the thing fell back. But then the second one dropped through the roof, landing right in front of him. It swung its arm. Jake ducked. The claws scratched the wall. He slammed the butt of the rifle into its face, then fired at its chest. The hunter screeched and fell. He heard Nara cry out, "Jake!" He rushed back. The trapdoor was open, but Nara and the kids were still there. The second hunter had tried to reach them, but Nara had thrown something, an alien device that exploded in bright light. The creature stumbled, blind. Jake fired again. This time, it didn't move. The house was full of smoke. The smell of burned flesh and broken wood filled the air. Then, silence. No more movement, no more voices in his head. Jake dropped the rifle and sat down, breathing hard. Nara climbed out of the trapdoor with the kids. They ran to Jake and hugged him tightly. He held them close. Nara sat beside him, shaking. "They'll send more," she said. "I figured," Jake answered. "They won't stop." "Neither will I," he said. She looked at him with wide, tear-filled eyes. "Why?" He touched Sila's hair and kissed Kai's forehead. "Because now, they're mine too." Nara didn't speak. She just leaned into him, letting her tears fall. Outside, the stars watched silently. But inside, in a broken home filled with light and fire, a bond had been forged. Not by blood, not by duty, by choice. The human way. The house smelled like smoke and burned wood. Broken glass crunched under Jake's boots as he walked across the living room, now damaged from the night's attack. Bullet holes marked the walls. 2 dark blood stains stained the floor, marks left by the hunters. But somehow, the house still felt alive. In the kitchen, the sunlight came in warm through the cracked window. And in the middle of it, Kai was sitting on the table, trying to balance a spoon on his nose. Sila sat across from him, her fingers deep in a bowl of cereal, lifting one piece at a time like it was a rare gem. Jake stood by the counter, arms crossed, watching them with a strange mix of wonder and disbelief. "You're supposed to eat it," he said, nodding toward the cereal. Sila looked up, confused. "But it floats." "That's called milk," Jake said. "It makes it taste better." "It smells like a flower dyed," Kai mumbled. Jake laughed. "Close enough." Nara watched from the doorway. She wore one of Jake's old jackets now, far too big for her, but it gave her a soft, human look. Her silver hair was tied back, and her face looked less tired today. "They like learning," she said quietly. "They're fast learners," Jake replied. Kai almost figured out how to microwave a shoe this morning. Nara blinked. "A shoe?" "Yeah, I caught him just in time." She smiled gently, then walked in and sat near the children. "You're doing more than I ever imagined," she said to Jake. "I'm not doing anything special," Jake replied. "To us, this is special." Jake looked at the kids again. They were smiling, not scared, not running, not hiding in the shadows. It felt good. After breakfast, Jake took them outside. The air was crisp, the sky blue and white. "This," he said, "is how you make fire the human way." He gathered some dry sticks, arranged them into a pile, and showed them how to use a lighter. Kai jumped back when the flame appeared. Sila clapped her hands. "Fire is dangerous," Jake explained. But also useful. It cooks food. It gives warmth. It keeps away things that go bump in the dark. Like the monsters? Kai asked. Jake nodded. Especially the monsters. Nara sat on a rock nearby, watching silently. She had never seen her children like this. Free, curious, laughing. Later that afternoon, Jake gave them crayons and paper. Scylla started drawing strange shapes, stars and moons with extra rings. Kai tried drawing Jake, but gave him 3 arms. I don't have 3 arms, Jake laughed. Not yet, Kai said seriously. But Mama says humans can change. I guess she's not wrong. Nara joined him on the porch as the sun began to fall. She carried a bowl of fresh alien fruit she had stored in her bag. They looked like glowing peaches and smelled like cinnamon. She handed one to Jake. He took a bite, made a face, and said, "Tastes like candy and regret." Nara giggled. That means it's ripe. They sat in silence for a while, watching the kids run in the grass. Then she said, "He would have done the same." Their father, Jake asked. She nodded slowly. He was brave. Not perfect, but brave. He believed love didn't have to look a certain way. Didn't matter if it was across species or stars. He said love was simple. It just needed someone to say yes. Jake looked down. I didn't even know him. Not really. But he knew you, Nara said. He trusted you. He left your name in his final message. I didn't understand at first. But now I do. Why? Because you protect without asking for anything back. Because you don't see them as mistakes. You see them as children. The sky grew darker. Stars blinked to life. Scylla and Kai sat on the grass, staring up at the sky. Which one is your planet? Kai asked. Jake pointed. Somewhere that way. Third rock from the sun. Does it have trees? Scylla asked. Yeah, big ones. Oceans too, and ice cream. What's ice cream? Something I'll show you one day, Jake said with a smile. Nara stood beside him, arms crossed. Do you miss it? Earth? He asked. Sometimes, but right now, this feels more like home than anywhere I've been. She looked at him, her expression softening. You're strange for a human. I'll take that as a compliment. That night, they all sat around the fireplace. Jake read an old storybook. The kids leaned against him, sleepy-eyed. Nara sat beside them, listening. When the children finally dozed off, Jake covered them with a blanket. Nara stayed close. You're becoming part of us, she whispered. Maybe, he said. But I think I always was. Outside, the night was quiet. But inside, Jake's broken house had become something else. A school, a shelter, a beginning. And even though danger still waited beyond the trees, for now, they had found something stronger. A reason to stay, a test of trust. The days passed quietly, as if the forest itself was holding its breath. Jake's home, once silent and cold, now echoed with soft laughter and small footsteps. Scylla and Kai played in the backyard under the wide alien sky. They chased bugs that glowed like fireflies and climbed low trees like fearless explorers. Nara was healing too. She smiled more. She hummed soft songs in a language Jake didn't understand. And sometimes, when she thought no one was looking, she stared at Jake with something deep in her eyes. Not fear, not sadness, something warmer. But Jake still felt the weight. His hands were busy fixing the broken window and patching bullet holes in the wall, but his mind was always racing. He knew the hunters would come back. He knew hiding forever wasn't a plan. And worse, he had found something inside Nara's old satchel that changed everything. It was a small, cracked device, like a communicator. Jake had worked with alien tech during the war. He knew how to activate it. One night, while everyone was asleep, he quietly turned it on. The screen glitched. Static. Then, a voice. A message. Sister, the High Council knows. They believe the human children threaten our purity. They fear the bloodline. They fear what comes next. They plan to purge any planet where hybrids are hiding, including Earth. You must go deeper, disappear, or everyone you meet will be marked for death. Jake stared at the screen for a long time. Earth, his home, his people, in danger, just for helping her. He shut the device and hid it back in her bag. He didn't sleep that night. The next morning, while Scylla and Kai built a tiny fort out of tree branches, and Nera was inside preparing breakfast, Jake stood under the open sky, his head spinning. He didn't want to tell her. He didn't want to scare her. But this secret, it was burning inside him. So, later that evening, when the kids had fallen asleep, Jake sat down with Nera by the fire. "I found something in your satchel," he said quietly. Nera froze. "A message," Jake added. "From your brother." Her breath caught. "You opened it?" "Yes," he said honestly. "I had to." She didn't speak for a moment. Then, in a tired voice, "How much did you hear?" "Enough to know your people are planning to attack any planet helping hybrids, even Earth." Nera looked down, her hands trembling. "You should have told me," Jake said. "I deserve to know." "I didn't want to bring this to your world," she whispered. "I only wanted safety for them. What if the Council sends warships? What if they find out I'm hiding you? What if they hurt others? Because of us?" "Do you want us to leave?" she asked, her voice shaking. "No," Jake said quickly. "That's not what I'm saying. I need to understand what we're up against." Nera looked into the fire. "The Council believes bloodlines must stay pure. They fear change. They think the children are dangerous because they're both human and alien. They think love between our kinds is unnatural. But that's not true." "No," she agreed. "But fear is louder than truth." Jake stood, pacing. "I could contact the Colony Council. Tell them everything. They'd help protect us." "No," Nara said sharply. "If you do that, the children will be taken, studied, maybe locked away. They won't see them as people. They'll see them as tools." Jake stopped. He thought of Sila's laughter, of Kai sleeping beside him. "Then what do we do?" "We disappear," she said. "We go where even the stars don't follow." Jake was silent. To run again. To live in fear forever. To leave behind everything. But when he looked at her, really looked, he saw something in her eyes. Not weakness, not panic. Hope and trust. "You'd trust me to come with you?" he asked. "You could leave tonight," she said. "You could tell the authorities. No one would blame you. But the kids, they already call me Ducky. They don't just need protection anymore. They need a father. And I need someone who won't leave," she said. Jake walked to her, knelt down, and took her hand. "Then we run," he said. "But we run smart. We hide better. And if they ever find us again, I won't just protect you. I'll fight for you." Nara didn't cry. She just leaned forward, pressing her forehead gently against his. No more words were needed. Outside, the wind moved through the trees. The sky above was endless. Inside, two people sat in silence, surrounded by love, fear, and something new, something powerful. A bond stronger than blood. A family built not by chance, but by choice, marked as one of us. 3 nights later, the stars vanished. They didn't fade slowly. They blinked out. One by one, Jake stepped out of the cabin and looked up. Where there should have been a sky full of stars, there was only blackness, like a blanket covering the heavens. "Nara," he whispered, heart pounding. She was already there, standing behind him, barefoot in the cold dirt, eyes wide with fear. "That's not night," she said. "That's a ship." A massive alien vessel hung above them, so large it blocked the stars. It didn't make a sound. It didn't flash lights. But Jake could feel it, like pressure in his chest. Scylla and Kai rushed outside. They looked up and froze, clutching each other. "Go inside," Jake said quickly. "Now." Nera pulled them back, wrapping them in her arms. Then the light came. A slow, wide beam of red that swept across the forest like a searchlight. When it passed over Jake, his skin burned for a second, not from heat, but from recognition. "They've scanned you," Nara said. "You're tagged now, marked as their enemy." Jake gritted his teeth. "Good. We need to move." "No," he said. "We end this, here." Nara looked at him like he'd lost his mind. "You don't understand," she said. "This isn't just hunters. This is them. High Council enforcers. They don't send ships like that for hybrids. They're here for you now." "Then they're scared of what we are," Jake said. "They should be." A sound, low and sharp, cut through the air like a blade. Then the forest erupted. Creatures dropped from the ship like falling stars, their bodies glowing with dark energy. Armored, massive, armed with spears that hissed with blue lightning. Jake grabbed his rifle. The children screamed. Nera didn't move. She was frozen. "You need to run," Jake shouted. "We can't outrun them," she said. "Not anymore." "Then fight with me," he said. "I'm not a soldier." "You don't have to be. You're a mother. Fight for them." She looked at her children, trembling, crying, calling for her. Something changed in her eyes. She stood up straight and raised her hand. Alien markings lit up across her skin, symbols Jake had never seen before. Her voice deepened, full of old power. "Get behind me," she said. Jake pulled the kids close and backed toward the cabin. The first enforcer hit the ground, twice as tall as any man, covered in black armor. It raised its weapon. Jake aimed and fired. The blast hit it square in the chest. No effect. The creature swung its spear. Jake blocked with the rifle, but it shattered like glass. "Jake!" Nara screamed. The second enforcer lunged toward the children. Nara released a pulse of energy, a shockwave that knocked the creature backward into a tree, cracking it in half. Jake grabbed a broken pipe and stabbed upward. The first enforcer howled, finally bleeding. "They bleed," Jake said, smiling through the pain. "That means they can die." But then, he was hit. The second enforcer's spear grazed his side. Jake fell, gasping. Blood soaked his shirt. Nera screamed and ran to him. "No, no, stay with me," she begged, pressing her hands to his wound. "Keep them safe," Jake whispered. "Don't let them take the kids." Then something strange happened. Nera leaned down and placed her forehead against his. A soft light passed between them. Her markings spread to him, glowing blue lines crawling over his chest, arms, neck. The pain stopped. His vision cleared. His heart calmed. What is this?" Jake asked. "You saved them," Nara said. "You chose us. Now we choose you. What's happening to me?" "You're being marked, as one of us." The enforcers paused. They looked at Jake with new eyes. Not just as a human, but something else. Hybrid marked. Family bound. And then Jake stood up. His body felt different. Stronger. Faster. His blood no longer burned. It sang. When the next enforcer charged, Jake didn't run. He moved like lightning, grabbed the creature's own weapon, and turned it against him. The enforcer fell. Nera stood beside him. Together, they fought. Alien energy and human courage side by side. One by one, the creatures fell. The ship above made a loud, long sound, like a warning. Then it began to rise, fading into the sky. They had lost, and they knew it. Jake dropped to one knee, exhausted. Nara knelt beside him. The children ran into their arms. "You're glowing," Scylla said. "Am I?" Jake smiled. "You smell weird," Kai added. "That's the new me." Nara looked into Jake's eyes. They'll never stop, she said. Then neither will we, he answered. That night, around the broken fire pit, they sat as one. Not human, not alien, but something new. And Jake knew he wasn't protecting them anymore. He was them. Home is where you're needed. The night after the battle was the quietest they had ever known. Not a single sound from the trees. Not a single light from the stars. Only the soft breathing of two sleeping children and the flicker of firelight dancing on cracked wooden walls. Jake sat on the porch, his shirt torn and stained with blood, now dry. The strange blue markings on his skin had dimmed, but they were still there. Nara sat beside him, holding a hot cup of leaf tea she had brewed from her homeworld seeds. For a long time, they didn't speak. Not because they had nothing to say, but because some things were too big for words. Then Nara whispered, "They'll come back." "I know," Jake said quietly. "They always do." He turned to her. "Then we make sure next time they find nothing left to destroy. Not a weakness, not fear, but something stronger than all their hate." "Like what?" "Family." Her eyes glistened in the firelight. "You really believe that?" "I have to," Jake said, "because that's all I have now. And honestly, it's all I've ever needed." A small rustling sound came from behind them. Scylla peeked out the door, eyes half closed. "Can't sleep," she said. Jake opened his arms. She ran into them and curled against his chest. Nara smiled, her voice barely a breath. "She trusts you more than she ever trusted anyone, even me." "She's brave," Jake said, holding her close. "She just needed a place to rest her courage. And you. I think I was waiting for someone to knock on my door and tell me life wasn't over yet." Nara looked at him carefully. "Do you still miss Earth?" Jake stared at the sky. Earth was gone to him now, not destroyed, but unreachable. If he returned, he would be hunted for what he had become, marked by alien blood, no longer pure. But here, with them, something strange had happened. He wasn't a soldier anymore. He wasn't a broken man. He wasn't lost. He was needed. "No," he said at last. "Earth was never home. Not really. This is." Suddenly, a light blinked from deep in the woods. Not from the sky. From the ground. Jake stood, setting Scylla down gently. Nara narrowed her eyes. "That's not council tech. You recognize it." She shook her head. "No, but I recognize the feeling. This is different. Watching, but not hostile." Jake picked up the small device from earlier, the one with her brother's message. He activated the tracker. A second signal lit up beside it. Unknown, but close. "Someone's been following us," Jake said, "since the ship left." "Another hunter?" "No. I think it's someone else. Someone waiting." They moved carefully into the woods, Jake holding a flashlight in one hand, a stun blade in the other. Through thick trees and wet grass, they walked until they reached a small hill. On top, a ship waited. Not like the others. Smaller, sleeker, not alien in design, not fully. Jake stepped forward. The door opened. A figure stood inside. Human, older, wearing an old military coat with Earth's faded emblem on the shoulder. "You're hard to find," the man said, stepping out. "Who are you?" Jake asked. "Someone who still believes humans can make their own choices, without galactic rules, without council threats." He looked at Jake, then at Nara, then at the children walking behind them. "They're not a danger," Jake said quickly. "I know," the man nodded. "I've been watching, and what I've seen gives me hope." He reached into his coat and pulled out a data chip. "This has new identities. For all of you, human registry, off-grid colony coordinates, supplies, funding, everything." Nara stepped forward. "Why are you helping us?" The man looked tired, but his voice was strong. "Because the galaxy needs people like you, families like yours, People who break the rules just by loving someone different. He turned to Jake. I fought beside Ellis. Long ago, he was your friend. He believed you were a better man than you knew. Jake took the chip. You were the backup plan, weren't you? Let's just say, some humans didn't forget what honor looks like. The man turned back toward the ship. The cabin's no longer safe, he said. Take the chip, take your family. Go to the new place. Live. Build. Raise them strong. The galaxy will come again. But next time, you'll be ready. Nara reached out. Thank you. He paused. Don't thank me. Just survive. That's all the thanks I need. Then he was gone. Later, as dawn began to rise, the four of them stood at the edge of their old home. Behind them, broken walls, bloodstains, memories of fear. Ahead, an open path, unknown and wild. Psylocke reached for Jake's hand. Kai reached for Nara's. They walked forward as one. No longer just a group hiding from war. No longer a scared mother and two half-alien kids. No longer a tired soldier searching for meaning. They were something new, a beginning. And wherever they went next, whatever stars they lived under, one truth would always remain. Home is not a place. It is where you are needed. And Jake was needed.